In general.
Yeah, very good. We're recording. Okay. All right, I'd like to call the meeting to order. It is now 7:31, so I'll call the meeting to order and we'll do. Pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And all our board members are here. I'd like to welcome our two new members, Gabby and Carrie. I'm sorry. A little nervous here. But Gabby and Carrie, welcome. And to our returning members as well. Everybody's here tonight. I would like to potentially move, your motion to move up the Crystal Apple Awards to the next place, just so people can we can get those out of our way and then we'll go on with that.
I'll make a motion to move item number 6 up to right after item for attendance.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so for our Crystal Apple Award,
Awesome. So we have Dave Moser with us from Horace Mann. The Crystal Apple Award, as you may recall, is a quarterly staff recognition. It's in partnership with Horace Mann and Dave Moser. We have one person from each school receives the award on a quarterly basis, and the nominee is any staff member, certified or non-certified, who has demonstrated understanding of the needs of the students as an individual. Also, they demonstrate through their actions supportive and caring relationships. They help support a positive and compassionate school climate, encourage love for learning, promote student success, and exhibits a collaborative approach and challenges students to reach high standards and expectations. So with that, what we'd like to do is honor each employee at each school, starting with our elementary school. I believe, is that Mr. Ryan? It is. Okay.
Good evening, everybody. I would like to introduce you all to Gloria Worthington. Gloria is an asset to our lunchroom staff. Gloria makes sure the cafeteria is a positive place for every student. She is kind and patient with every child coming through her line. She puts in 110%, making sure each child is fed and gets a smile as they pass. Gloria gets to know the students' likes and favorites. She will help them access what they want, even when they don't know how to ask for it. She is kind to the staff as she is to the students. She always greets colleagues with a smile and makes sure to ask them how their day is going. Gloria's example of how all the staff at Broadbrook School play an important role in creating a positive school climate.
thank you.
Thank you.
Flattered with this, very honored. As a matter of fact, I never thought anyone in food service was eligible for such an award. So, thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Next, we'd have Mrs. Deitch come up for middle school.
So I'd like to introduce Ms. Holly Surratt. She is one of our instructional coaches at the middle school with a focus on science and math. While she does work with everybody, she does particularly work with math and science. One of the things that she is doing this year, which is amazing, is she's helping our science department pilot a new program, which is amazing. That includes, if nobody knows how much work that is, she's getting together materials, she's helping to go through the materials, help teachers understand the process and what that all looks like. So that is an extreme amount of work that she is doing with each of our science teachers. Not only that, but she works with all the students and holds them to a really high standard wherever they are in the building. Hallways, classrooms, cafeteria, anywhere she sees them, because we're really trying to make sure that students know the expectations and the standards in the building, and she is doing that. In addition, Ms. Surratt loves the middle school, and you can see that in everything that she does. So one of the things that she has really helped to do is put in some different structures in the cafeteria, but also help to create monthly incentives at the middle school, which the students are absolutely loving. So we really cannot thank her enough for everything that she does for the middle school and the students. So thank you so much.
Personal note, Holly and I've known Holly since I was this big. She was a little
Yeah.
bit taller because she was a next door neighbor of mine growing up and, I looked up to her then. I still look up to her and it's nice to see that you're being recognized. Because I think there's a lot of other people who are looking up to you too, students and coworkers. So
Thanks.
congratulations.
Thank you.
And Mrs. Kaminsky from the high school.
I'd like to introduce everyone to Mr. Michael James. He is one of our most popular staff members. All the kids know him. In a few minutes, you'll know why, but before I read these words, I gotta tell you that these words really embody what a lot of people feel. So here we go. So Mr. James is committed to building relationships with students and staff every day. He understands the importance of meeting students where they are, building bridges between staff and students, and helping students find their voice and build resiliency. Mr. James is dependable, responsive, and truly cares about the students. He does not have an easy job. It is very difficult in a public school to balance social emotional needs with academic expectations. Mr. James is able to find that balance by respecting students' feelings, but also helping them take ownership of their behaviors and repair relationships within the school community. Mr. James is positive, energetic, and always has a smile on his face. He acknowledges everyone, sees everyone, and is non-judgmental. I have tremendous respect for Mr. James and the work he does to better our school. And just to let you know, he helps facilitate our reset room, and he is definitely every day my right arm. Because he helps with so many issues, and he likes to try to beat me to the first wave lunch duty cafeteria. So every time, pretty much. But I'm trying, we're trying. So thank you, Mr. James, for everything you do.
I'd like to thank Dave Moser and Morris Mann one last time. Thank you for the partnership. We greatly value it. And if we could give a round of applause to our employees and our outstanding Crystal Apple Award winner. Also like to give those that were just recognized the opportunity to leave. Should you mind? Are you more than welcome to stay? Lord. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Thanks again. Happy holidays.
And then once the chair is elected, the language how we handle the thing. That's what's been done.
So the next item on our agenda is the organization of the board and the election of our officers. So Patrick is going to start with that.
So I'll make the motion to move the Board of Education accept nominations for the position of chairwoman of the East Windsor Board of Education.
I'd like to nominate Kate Carey Troll as chairman.
Second.
Are there any further nominations?
Move to close nominations.
Is there a second for moving to close nominations? All right. Did you get that? Okay. Okay,
To close.
so,
I got that part, just to close. I said close and
okay,
Northern seconded.
thank you. Okay, so first we're voting on closing nominations for the board chair. May I hear votes? All those in favor? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Okay, so the nominations are closed? Yep. All right, so now we need to vote on the chair. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. I appreciate everyone's support.
Congratulations, Kate.
And now we need to move the Board of Education accept nominations for the position of Vice Chairman of the East Windsor Board of Education.
I'd like to nominate Denise Menard as vice chair for the Board of East Windsor Board of Education.
I'll second.
Are there any further nominations?
I would like to nominate Heather Spencer in the spirit of bipartisanship, transparency, and cooperation. Heather Spencer.
Did you get those for the
Yep, nominations.
Thank you. Are there any further nominations?
Move to close nomination.
Okay, Noreen, move to close nominations. Do I have a second? Denise has seconded. All right, so first we'll vote on closing nominations. All in favor of closing nominations?
Aye.
All opposed to closing nominations? Okay, that passes. All in favor? Okay. All right, so, on the motion to nominate Denise Menard for vice chair, I would like to take votes. Do you want me to go by name for this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Heather?
Do I
You
vote
can,
for myself or do I vote for Denise? That's usually how we do it.
It's a first vote and then the second, right? It's not voting for either one.
sorry, I
No,
know,
you're
yeah,
fine.
do you want me to do by
So-
names or do you
Yeah,
want
so
me to
that,
do yes
so
or
you
no?
just say who you vote for.
Okay,
Right,
I'm
that's what-
sorry,
that's
I
what-
apologize.
No, you're fine.
All right, so let me know whether you're voting for Denise or Heather in this instance. So Heather,
Myself.
Fran. Fran was Heather.
Okay, yep.
Courtney. Denise,
Denise.
Carrie,
I'm gonna go for Heather.
Denise?
Denise.
Denise.
okay, so now the votes are,
Yeah, I can work for.
Yep.
those.
Yep.
All right, so in this instance, I need to vote to break the tie, is that correct?
Yep.
Could I actually hear from each of the people who were nominated? Is that okay? Asked to hear from the nominees for why they would like to be vice chair.
Oh, God. Well, I think, based on like what Fran said, I think having bipartisanship and Jason just said that his own action, but his own swearing in, I think it's important for us. I think you and I would work well together. We've worked well together in the past. I think it could support you when, when you can't go to a meeting. I know you've got tight business commitments. I think that I've been on 3 major boards or subcommittees here with the Board of Ed in my tenure. I think I'm dedicated to the students in town. I think I'm dedicated to us as a board. I'd like to work on relationships and getting to know everybody a little bit better. I'd like to see a little bit more in our goal setting to find out what's most important for all of us individually, because I don't think we ever share that. And I think that we should all work together on meeting those goals for us individually, especially with the students in town. Not having anything else written, I would say I would appreciate your vote.
Appreciate that. I think it's-
I can't disagree with anything that Heather said, because certainly that's where I would be coming from as well. I'm retired, so I have time. When you can't make meetings in the daytime, I'm able to come. Weekends are free for me. Every day's a weekend, so. So, certainly I think, Heather, really did strike on something that we need to be a more cohesive group. And I think I have worked very hard with other boards, in town to do exactly that, where, being in the minority, I've been in the minority and I know what that's like, and I've been in the majority and I know what that's like. And you have to erase the R's and the D's once we sit at this table. And I think, I have a lot of experience doing that.
Okay, I thank you both for your input. sorry, I'm just not sure. I know that we all need to kind of move forward and all 9 of us have an equal voice on this board and we need to respect each other and listen to each other. I'm just trying to figure out.
If I can just add why, because I was very conflicted myself with this position. But I did sit here 2 years ago and very much stood for the fact that I really thought it was important that our leadership had a cohesiveness that I thought would work well for the entire board. And as difficult, honestly, as it was for me to make the decision, that is why I feel like I really think it's important to have a cohesive and everybody to be heard.
Does anybody else want to speak
I would
before
like to
we?
speak, and I had something written about Denise. The reason that I felt very strongly about Denise's commitment is because of her experience. And that is her public service in this town as first selectman, serving on multiple commissions, serving as a town manager in East Long Meadow, and just knowing her commitment to not only the citizens of public in East Windsor, but also seeing her in her commitment to our students here in East Windsor. I think that she has demonstrated expertise and leadership in all of the commissions, and I feel it would be an asset, would be a contributing strength. I hear what you're saying. I also believe that she has, again, the will to work collaboratively with all people. And so I think because of the expertise, Denise was the highest vote getter, quite honestly, in this last election. And so, that would be mine. Heather, you're a great candidate also. We had a great conversation. Those are my thoughts in terms of her expertise and demonstrated leadership.
I'd just like to say, as someone new coming in, I obviously don't know everybody. Well, I've had some conversations with Heather, have not had a lot of conversations with me. So mine's probably not going to be a super personal thing, but I value in this town very much that I do agree when it comes to school, it shouldn't be about politics at all. It really should be based on the kids. But I value how well our Board of Selectmen have worked together, bringing things from both sides of the table and hearing concerns, or maybe Heather might hear things from other people that Denise just may not, just because there is a Democrat and a Republican there. And I just firmly believe that our Board of Selectmen were so successful because they were willing to work together in that way to represent different groups of people. And I really think that it's an important thing that we see less of these days. And I would like that to remain in our town, regardless of whatever the outcome is. But in general, I think it's important that leadership is represented by different groups of people and not all the same groups of people. And that's how you get people to work together well, is with the diversity of that. And Heather, I know, has been on this board for a lot of years as well. So
I appreciate that, Carrie. Does anybody else want to add?
I have nothing more to add other than Kate, you and I have had multiple conversations about why I believe that you and Denise can make a cohesive team. I haven't had any conversations with Heather or Fran. But we've had the conversation, so you know how I feel. You're the one who's voting, so.
Okay. We have had those conversations and I do appreciate Denise's experience in the town and on different boards. But I also do appreciate Heather's experience on the Board of Education and working with CIP. So I do believe they both do bring a lot to the table. But I do also agree with Courtney that the last time when this came up, we were both very strong about having one person from each party as part of the leadership board. It hasn't been that way on this Board of Education for a long time. It was the other way the Republicans were both chair and vice chair for a number of years, and Courtney and I tried to support a bipartisanship. And I think because that's what I said in the past, that's going to impact how I vote right now. So I'm going to choose Heather for my vice chair.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
I nominate Fran for secretary. We need to just move on. We're spending a lot of time here. There's no point in reading it again. I nominate Fran for secretary.
Are there any other nominations for secretary?
Need a second.
Someone has, oh, sorry, do we have a second?
I want second for
I'll
you.
second it.
Okay, good.
All right, so we have a nomination and a second. And all in favor of Fran for secretary?
You have to,
Do I need to close
Yeah.
nominations? Okay. Can I have a motion to close nominations for
I
secretary?
make a motion to close nominations.
So Heather made that
Yeah.
motion. And is there a second? Brittany seconded. All right, so this first vote is to close nominations. All in favor of closing nominations, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed to closing nominations? Okay, so that passes.
Yes.
All right, so Fran has been nominated for secretary. All in favor of Fran Neal for secretary of the Board of Education, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, thank you very much.
thank you.
Do we have any added agenda items this evening? I don't believe we do. Okay, so there's no added agenda items this evening, so now we'll move on to minutes. So we have the minutes from November 8th, the regular meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes, the regular meeting of Wednesday, November 8th, 2023.
I'll second that.
All right, is there any further discussion on the minutes or any edits or changes? Anybody has? All right, all in favor of approving the minutes from November 8th, 2023? Any opposed? Okay. Do we have any public participation this evening? Anybody from the public would like to speak? All right, and we have our student representative report from them.
On Friday, Broadbrook School celebrated Veterans Day. Members of the East Windsor Veterans Commission demonstrated how to hold a flag and led question and answer sessions with students. A parent even brought a Humvee for students to see and touch. Students wrote letters to veterans and learned about the meaning of the white table. The annual Broadbrook School version of the Veterans Day Road Race was conducted, as well as a boot camp. On Monday, November 20th, at a whole school assembly, the students and staff learned about our new instructional learning focus on improving communication. Students saw videos that students and staff created using their words to solve problems. Biscuit, our mascot, also made an appearance. On Friday, November 10th, East Windsor Middle School also celebrated Veterans Day. All grade levels participated. Students read stories about veterans and went on virtual field trips to the United States Veteran and War Memorials. In advisory, students wrote thank you notes which were delivered to local veterans. East Windsor Middle School is working with Project Hometown Support and will be collecting cookies for troops starting this week until December 1st. 7th grade held their Q1 award ceremony last week. The award ceremony was well attended by students and their families. On Friday, November 10th, faculty, students, and staff at East Windsor High School welcomed and honored our community's veterans. This tribute included a breakfast prepared by students, a meet and greet in advisory classrooms, and a school-wide assembly to pay gratitude to the veterans for their sacrifice and service to our nation. In addition to a short lesson on the history of Veterans Day, the student-led tribute included poetry recitation, performances by the East Windsor High School Band and Chorus, remarks from local veterans, and a video appearance from East Windsor High School alumni who are veterans or currently serving in the armed forces. At the conclusion of the program, students presented challenge coins to the veterans who attended. In other news, the class of 2024 raised $225 with a staff versus student volleyball tournament. Report cards went out and many students received honors or high honors. The band and chorus participated in the two-day NCCC Festival in Ellington last week. Auditions for the spring performance of Snoopy have begun, and we also have some athletic congratulations. Congratulations to junior goalie Sammy Ruggiero on being named to the 2023 NCCC Girls Soccer All-Conference Team. Congratulations to senior swimmer Brianna Corsetti for making states this season. And congratulations to senior Ryan Willie, who signed with Assumption University football.
Thank you very much, Vincent. We have in our agenda, we have a list of upcoming meeting events. Are there any?
No, just two that I want to highlight is, November 29th, at Park Hill, a senior, meeting over at Town Hall, with the first, Linda had offered, FOI workshop, from 5 to 7, scheduled. And she said it was welcome to all Board of Ed, members. So anyone interested, you're welcome, to join, and want to extend that and put it out there, for anyone that's interested. I don't believe you have the RSVP. You can just show up is my understanding. And then, the other one I just want to highlight is December 6th. I have the information and certainly can forward it. But CAVE, which is the Connecticut Association of Boards of Education, they run a new, board member conference. It is all day. It is in person. It is in Rocky Hill. Certainly I know, a number of members, do work. So the timing flexibility may not be there, but if you are interested, please reach out. Either, actually probably to Jessica would be best, and we can get you registered. There is also a leadership track, that runs that same day simultaneously, same place. So if there's any board member that would like to attend in addition, please reach out to Jessica. And if there's any interest as well, I would attend as well too.
All right. Did anybody have any questions about the upcoming meetings or events? Sorry.
There are two Board of Ed executive sessions listed on the town website for November 30th. Not sure why they're out there. And there were also some in October that were listed that got canceled. Is there a reason?
Yes. Expulsion hearings.
Expulsion hearings that we know about in advance?
So I can tell you, the circumstances, required a hearing officer. Someone, rather than board members, it was, an attorney, not the board attorney, but a separate attorney that, is either scheduled to hear or had heard, the case and, ruled on meetings.
So why would it be listed as a event? Executive session? Is that what you're saying?
It's always been listed as a special meeting.
But no board members are going to be there?
Right, but it's still under the school system, a board meeting.
It doesn't explicitly state what it's for. It just says an executive session. So we should either express what it's for, or at least inform us that there's a meeting scheduled, but none of our attendance is required.
So I appreciate that feedback, and certainly we can do that in the future.
All right. Is there anything further on upcoming meetings or events? All right. And then the financial report from Brian.
Yep. So I'll kind of echo what I shared with the Board of Finance at the town, and then my Board of Finance subcommittee. Everything is looking great right now. I don't have any major concerns. We're working hard to hit the December deadline for projections for the current fiscal year, and we've already begun planning and getting things centered for the FY20 budget. So the plan is to, have that in a much better spot this year versus where we were this time last year. So I don't have anything to bring to your attention, but if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer those.
Anybody have any specific questions?
And when's the audit due? Like when the findings on the audit, do you know when that is?
Yeah.
Is it December?
I want to say it's in December.
Board of Finance.
Last I spoke to that, like they're they're not necessarily waiting for anything from us right now, so I'm assuming they'll send out communication on that.
Okay.
I mean, at the last Board of Finance
I think I mentioned
meeting,
it.
it was stated that was anticipated that it would be done for the December meeting.
It's like the week between Christmas and New Year's. That's how close it is to the end of the year.
So we'll probably January.
No, it has to be, well, they have to have a meeting in December
Okay.
by charter.
You know, otherwise it would require an extension. I was reported at the last Board of Finance, that extension wasn't anticipated.
Did anybody else have any other questions about the financial report? All right, new business for discussion. We have Board of Ed subcommittee assignments. I think what we can do is discuss, the subcommittees, but we don't need to decide who's going to be on them tonight. And there was also discussion about making this list a little clearer, or cleaner, just in terms of like which ones are needed currently. And which ones are more like negotiating committees that aren't active right now. So what we were gonna say, is people can kind of take a look at what the different committees are. And if you're currently on one, think about whether you still want to be on that one or whether you'd be interested in a different one. And if you're a new member, think about which ones you might be interested in. I don't know, Carrie and Gabby, if you've had a chance to look at these at all, or if you have interest. Some of them more, so as you can see, the first ones listed are more negotiations for the first couple, although board policy review is there too. So board policy review is one of the more major subcommittees, as is finance subcommittee now. And the curriculum council. And then we're gonna have a facilities as well, right? So,
Facility strategy a long, has that been around a long time? Is that, or is that the one that we just established?
So it has been around and doing some research, but doesn't seem like it's been an active group that's met for a number of years. So certainly I know it's been the desire of this board to get that up and running. Again, I'm sure like revisit the purpose and intent and develop some goals with that. And then more recently in an October meeting, getting the athletic council subcommittee. We did have a board member who volunteered to be on that. And to build relationships with Park and Rec, youth sports, and really encourage sports participation really from elementary through high school. So those are two kind of non-active subcommittees that this board has indicated they would like to get up and going based on the needs of where the school district is now.
so did anybody have any specific questions, or do you guys want to hear a little bit more about what?
I have a question. So is there a board policy that explicitly states the number of people that can be in each board and negotiations group? So like if there's a full board, can we add people to that, or is it full because the board policy states that, you know, only 4 or 5 people can be on this committee?
I remember, I believe previously we had to reduce the number, right? Because it had to be 4 where we had like 5 listed, but there was, and I don't know where, but there was something. that
It basically
stated-
was recommended by the attorney that you keep it to 4 or less, otherwise you're creating a quorum of 5 or more.
Okay, I just wasn't sure.
The issue,
committee-
the issue with a quorum is irrelevant as long as you post it as a board meeting and you take minutes and you post the minutes. It doesn't, subcommittees don't vote on things. They may say, we all agree with this, and then everything that's done in a subcommittee must come to the full 9-member board to be voted on. So I can understand the idea of a quorum, but a quorum is only illegal to have if you are not posting it as a public meeting. So I don't think that's necessarily the be all and end all of who should serve, or how many people can be on the board, on the subcommittee.
On the subcommittee.
And then as far as, membership, Kate, since you are now the chair, should come off of everything because
Right.
as the chair, you have the ability to attend.
I was just gonna
Every
say,
meeting.
yeah, so my name can come off in terms of that and I can attend as many as I am able to, but I don't need to be listed as a person if we're looking at not having enough spaces if people are interested in being on committee. So that was one of the things that we kind of wanted to parse out tonight. So
Okay, I have a question. So what is the process? So we're considering tonight and at our next meeting, would we kind of take a look at who's interested?
yeah,
And then what do you do from there?
Can I make it just a suggestion?
Sure.
Maybe try to streamline it.
Yeah.
If there's a subcommittee board members are interested in, participating on, I'm thinking if you email Jessica, what we can do is just have the entire.
Oh, have it
list of
ready
every-
before?
And then we can bring it forward. And then if there's one subcommittee that maybe is really heavy and one that's very light as far as balancing time and resources, you'd already have that ahead of time to see and could already be planned for.
I pass this down to Kate because what I did was I kind of color coded where all the negotiations are one, and it might be helpful to Jessica to maybe
is
try.
that okay if I give this to Jessica?
Yeah. To see if that makes sense to you. Where the standing committees can be upfront, the ones that we really man the most. Negotiating ones are like, they come every 3 years or whatever. They don't need to be like as mingled in. It might be easier for like, especially members to
Mhm.
read through it.
Read through it.
And then
we
we
have
have that you're gonna have too much stuff because you got on this negotiating committee. and there's-
And
In
then
3
it's not-
years time, you're up till 3 o'clock in the morning.
So does that make sense, Kate?
Yeah, no, this definitely makes sense, and I can pass this down to you. And then we have the liaison, just so the newer members are aware, we have certain liaison ones too, where people kind of commit to going to those meetings on a regular basis. So like for Board of Finance, it's been Noreen and Heather that have been trying to attend the Board of Finance meetings. I am the Board of Selectmen liaison, but I admit I have not been super good about attending those lately. I do try to keep up on them and I get the agendas, but if someone else is interested in doing that as well.
Which one was it that you said? I'm sorry. Which one did you say? You're the liaison for?
Board of Selectmen. But again, my name can come off of that anyway, and I can still attend those meetings, obviously. So if there's 2 other people who are interested in that, kind of having a person and a backup person. And then, it says liaison for CIP, but I know Denise and Heather are both.
I was appointed as well, but I was the liaison for it, so I can not be the liaison. Somebody else could be the liaison for it. But we're still both there,
I know.
so.
Yeah, so if someone is interested, you could maybe fill that vacancy, but if not, we do have 2 representatives who are there and kind of report back to us on how that goes.
Can I, Kate, if
Go
it's
ahead.
all right if
Yeah.
you go, like say you wanted to go to the BPR, or the policy review, and you're not on the list as a member sitting, if you're still interested, you could still go.
Right,
Yeah.
anybody can
Anybody
attend
can,
those, yeah. Yep.
I just can't vote.
Right.
Our minute, but as we said, we don't really vote on motion, so I'm gonna pass this down.
If you can't read my hieroglyphics, call me.
And we can touch base after as well, too, just to get that. Okay.
Could I make a suggestion that maybe, anybody who's on, a committee already and would prefer taking their name off of it or whatever, we can email her as well, because
Yeah, think about,
I'm in a couple of negotiations. I would be willing to take my name off.
Oh, you go.
Just to speak to negotiations, because a number of contracts, as this, majority of this board is aware, were recently settled. There's only 2 that end of this current year. One is the cafeteria, and I believe the other one is Paris. So there's only 2 this year.
Still working right now.
The notes under that listing is not correct because it shows the old
Correct, and we can update
Yeah,
those.
so yeah, so I don't know when we sign up that. Okay, so those are the two active ones, and the other one won't be up for a couple of years is what we're saying.
They're staggered. I mean, one of the things this board did was stagger them, so rather than having 5 in a year, it's, I believe it's like 2-2-1 or 2-2-2, so they're staggered.
If I want a little more information, is it okay to email? I heard you talk about the athletics ones, there's really not a description here on that one. Is that something that we are wanting to move forward with?
Yeah, we were talking about making that more active, and we do need to kind of work up a description for that one
Okay.
because we haven't had it in a few years. It's
The
been-
goal is to just make athletics a bigger, more involvement.
Yeah, and to be more aware of kind of what's going on in town, how we can support kind of youth sports and, you know, middle school and high school.
Okay.
So I have another question as well. I'm sorry. if I interrupted.
We always do.
We do it. We go.
You go.
Okay. Okay, Madam Secretary. I know we've been, excuse me, talking about the juvenile, the Youth Service Bureau, Juvenile Review Board, and et cetera. Is there an opportunity for someone from the board to also participate? I don't see that down here. Is that another?
Yeah, I think we are supposed to have representation on that. I know Patrick was checking on that, because I believe that was mentioned at either at the last meeting or the meeting before that.
That was more as far as where it was, as far as the status of getting up and going. So my understanding is the position is posted. They're accepting applicants, but they haven't started the interview process. So until someone's in place running it, I'm not sure what that looks
They
like.
don't have a planning committee for anything, yes. That's what I'm saying. Okay.
I think they're going to start first with interview committee.
Could we consider that as a something once they're gonna hire someone? I would, I think it would be good for someone from the board to be part of some of the planning committee in terms of what that might look like. The connections to the school system.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I can tell you, I've been in numerous conversations stating the desire for the board to be a collaborative partner.
Okay.
So it's my hope that will be the case. I anticipate it will.
Okay,
So we'll definitely keep that on the radar.
okay.
Yeah, but I don't foresee an update coming the next month or two. I mean, I could be off on that, but until someone's.
Let's put a square here just in case. All right, if people are interested. If you don't mind.
I have one other thing, Kate.
Yes.
As people send in whatever positions everybody wants to be on, I think it's very important to look at the makeup of these committees from a longevity standpoint. If you look at the finance group right now, there are 3 people on that group who may or may not be here 2 years from now. Either up for reelection and can choose not to, or could lose in an election. And I think it's good to have a mixture of people, at least maybe 2 and 2. So there's some continuity on those boards. You don't want to get 2 years from now, you don't want one entire group
To be
to
gone.
not be here anymore, and then nobody has any experience, nobody has any institutional knowledge of what's going on. So, just to make sure that specifically on the bigger ones, the curriculum, the policies, finance.
To keep a
Kind of
continuity.
continuity that will continue 2 years from now.
Okay, no, I appreciate that.
I just have one more question. Is there any particular reason why the board policy review committee only meets when needed?
That actually is not.
We meet monthly.
This list just needs to be updated a little bit. But thank you for bringing that. All right.
Those meetings are, not like maybe an hour before or after, they're like separate, or they are like.
They usually are before, these meetings. We try to do them.
So typically what they've been is, as far as, board policy review, finance and curriculum council, those all meet monthly and we typically run those on Wednesdays of board meetings or, before, the town board of finance meeting. so that they piggyback off of each other, recognizing that, people do have lives outside of, part of bed, and, it's better to piggyback. So they are longer days, but they are typically on Wednesday, so, and those are the three that meet the most. Negotiations do meet as needed because, there's other, groups involved as far as scheduling. And as mentioned, facilities and athletic, those will get up and going, and certainly those subcommittees will determine the schedule.
Patrick, can you do the, on number 9? Maybe you said this, or someone else, 9 and 10. Permanent Shared Service Committee, that's on hold. Is that one?
I don't think that,
Is that?
I can tell you during my short tenure as superintendent, I don't know what that is.
Okay.
That's on hold. It was when we had discussions at one point, and I know this had come up again, but of whether we could share services with the town at all, I believe, like it was talking about,
It was from years ago.
Yeah,
Like the
from
Shared Service
quite a while
Committee
ago.
Back in the early 2000s where they met, I actually chaired it for a while. We met as a group, both sides, to figure out what we could do collaboratively, for a lot of things.
seems like purchasing oil and
Yeah.
electricity.
That kind of stuff, not.
And then
program.
it kind of just went
Yeah.
by the wayside. And I believe that there was a actual committee established through the Board of Selectmen. But I believe that just, when its time was up, it was never reconstituted.
so at this time, that was not an active one. All right, does anybody else have any further?
In the Town Building Committee, same thing, hold.
Well, I was confused about the town building committee because is that the building committee that I think it probably.
I think like Noreen's been going to some of, to those meetings, the building committee meetings.
And aren't you
Not as a
running it out
liaison,
loud?
not as a liaison to this board.
No, I know, no, I know you weren't, but I just am saying, been to the meetings. I've seen, she was asking about that.
I think that came about when they were doing the modulars out here. And
We're doing roofs.
they wanted someone from the Board of Education to be there for all of the meetings to discuss others.
So that would be another liaison one.
Yeah, and it's different from the facilities with the.
Right.
Ongoing kind of stuff here.
All right, so we can kind of, make some changes to some of these and clean that up a little bit in terms of which ones are active.
And which ones are liaisons too, right? Yeah. Some are standing.
Yeah, some are listed that way.
So you did.
I sort of.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything further on that? Or we good with the committee?
Can we have, I'm just thinking so that Jessica can have it in time to have it ready for the board packet. If it was, because typically we have it, just about ready, the Wednesday before something. If we had it by Tuesday, December 5th, emailed, as far as any subcommittee you're interested, that would give us time to put it together and have the names listed for review, for the board meeting on the 13th.
And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Jessica or Patrick or I, like about this, things we can try and figure out.
So the information is going to Jessica and CC Patrick, or what are we doing?
It's not
Don't
a
need to be.
serious season.
Thank you for asking. All
Right.
right. Next, under new business for discussion, do you want to speak to the board policy review for sure? How that's working?
Sure, and Justin's really been leading the work. I know he's here as well. But I believe as majority of the board, being respectful to our two new board members, so I know we will have to get caught up on some of the work is we've been overhauling our policy. Currently, we use CABE, Connecticut Association Board of Education policies. For our new members, if we printed out all our policies, our policies would be about this wide. So what we're doing is we're streamlining our policies because there's a lot of redundancy. There's a lot of things that are outdated. There's a lot of things that are unnecessary. We're really streamlining it and using the service through Shipman and Goodwin that are run by one of the largest attorney firms in Connecticut and utilizing their model policy service. So in an effort to overhaul, update and revise our policies, they're doing each series. So our policies are broken down into each series is like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 through the 9,000 series. So we're taking one series at a time and updating it. Process is basically the board does a first reading, provides any input feedback, and then we take it to a second reading. Because we're updating all our policies in its entirety, we're going to reserve bringing the second reading until they've all been reviewed as a first reading. Because one of the differences between Shipman and Goodwin, along with CAVE, is there may be something in CAVE that's in the 4,000 series, but for Shipman and Goodwin, it may be in the 1,000 series. So we don't want to have two policies in existence that contradict each other or don't flow together. So to ensure that we do it accurately and leave ourselves in a difficult situation, at the very end, we'll basically going to swap out our current and outdated policies with updated policies. Get everything there, Justin? I missed
It's a great job, sir.
certainly I can answer any questions regarding that.
Courtney? I don't know if it's regarding that. I just have a question. Just seeing this is the first reading, the changes that we had discussed making in.
Those were implemented, so they're in.
So this still has the two separate groups. We had discussed not having two groups.
Yeah, so I would say it was my understanding having the two separate groups, but differentiating it out as far as what group required the fingerprints. There was some language that was unclear, so we added some clarity.
I'm sorry, which policy are we discussing?
So I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm
can you
on-
give the
I'm
page? Sorry,
discussing
Courtney.
the volunteer, this stuff, page 7 of our packet.
Let's
And it's just to me, it's reading like the same way that it did.
So is it
The
the,
screening procedure for 7.
Yeah.
It starts at 7, yeah. The screening procedures as the district has identified two classifications.
Yep, so there's group 1 and group 2.
Yeah.
One of the statements we added, because of what made group 2 a little bit confusing was it was missing the statement. I believe it was the second statement on the top of page 9. Background checks and fingerprinting will be required of group 2 volunteers. So the way I read prior was that was assumed. So we wanted to explicitly state that. In group 1, I don't believe we ended up making changes. I think once we realized that it was missing that statement, because prior it just looked like starting that third sentence, group 2 would be required to complete a consent form regarding the release of information concerning any prior or pending criminal offenses. It looked like that was the only thing they were required, but that's only if there's been a pending or prior. It really starts with the background check and fingerprinting, which would bring out that information. And then in group 1, background checks are required in group 1, but not the fingerprinting. Which is our current practice, which is aligned with our current practice as well right now.
If I may, one of the reasons that we had to resort to the two groups was that in the initial reading, the court is referencing, we had combined the fingerprinting and the background checks and realized that by doing so, we would prevent people from volunteering that wanted to. And so that's why it was remained with the two groups.
So I'll give you a perfect example. The PTO is running, what's the program?
Holiday Store.
Thank you, Holiday Store. And there's a mass level of interest for volunteers in a short amount of time. If that's required fingerprinting, I'll tell you, their volunteers are going to strike tremendously and that program will not run. So certainly there's circumstances that we absolutely will want the fingerprinting, but they're also in the building under the supervision of staff.
That's, I would guess it.
And so where we're requiring the fingerprinting is, as you can see, the requirements under group 2, chaperoning overnight trip, working in direct contact with students without the presence of the district employee, working as a student intern, coaching.
This is just the first reading.
So Courtney, did you have further? Like, is that what BPR discussed, or did you have other questions, or?
Oh, no,
Does
it's
that
just,
help?
I had a lot of discussion that particular day. It's just that was something I noticed that wasn't changed from the first reading, but.
Oh, yeah, once we looked at it further, the problem was that statement was missing and
Yeah.
made it confusing. So by adding that statement, I think added the clarity.
I think one of the things I do recall, is that the descriptor for class 1 and class 2, it wasn't as clear before, where it says volunteers will be in group 1 because they're in the presence of a district employee, and I don't recall that being as sharply stated.
Well, the group like indicated earlier, did provide feedback that was implemented. I know there was some confusion with group 1 and group 2.
Yes, I'd like this. This is written there.
Thank you.
So there are a couple of new policies in here as well. I know we had discussed. Is there, when things are changed, is there a way to highlight kind of what's?
Correct. That was
or
emailed
what?
to you as a separate document, so you have the liberty to look at it as your own, but you have that.
Okay,
That's really clear. That's why I brought my computer, because I thought if we're gonna go through all these policies and we need what was sent with the agenda, because it shows all the highlights and all the policies that are deleted and stuff. That's really helpful.
Yeah, I mean, but, so this is the streamlined version. Our
Right.
packet is 100 pages. We also included our current.
no, that's fine,
It's-
as long as we
I
get
mean,
it,
it'd be
yeah.
a 300-page packet, so that's why.
So is everybody fine getting that electronically, once people have, I don't know if Carrie,
I don't have a-
you guys aren't set up with your laptop yet, but
And
you'll
you
be
will
set up
receive
with
a district laptop. IT will set it up, and actually maybe we can set up an appointment before you leave today as far as the time that works out both well for both of you.
So in knowing that you'll have a district laptop, are you both comfortable getting, information like that on as part of the electronic part of the agenda? Okay.
I'm gonna go to your board email.
Okay.
As long as I know what I'm voting.
Set up.
All right. Were there any other further questions or things?
I do.
Yes, Maria, sorry.
The one that we were just talking about, the group 1, group 2s, whoever they are. Patrick, we had the situation last year where, there was an issue with children coming to the school but not being allowed to attend because they did not have a DCF background check. DCF doesn't do background checks on children. And they were not allowed into the back gated area to participate in the ACES Day because of, their homeschool children, but their sisters attend school here. Have we rectified that in that children coming with their parents to an in-school event are going to be able to enter the building? Because what happened that day was they told them they could not come in and those children stood on the other side of the fence and watched.
So we have discussed as far as our processes with that, we still are in discussion. There are some things as far as like our health protocols as well that we're in conversation with along with some other things. I don't know if like to that specific example you're providing is like would be covered in this policy. But certainly that's something we are looking.
Should it be covered in a policy that says that if parents are attending an event in the school and have had their background checks done and all of that, and they wish to bring their minor children with them, that those minor children can enter the building without having their own personal background checks. It may be a school level issue. I'm not sure if it needs to be in a policy or if it can be based on procedures in the school, but it did happen. It happened and it was.
I mean, you and I have talked, I can tell you that myself and Mrs. Fox are in conversation. We actually have a meeting scheduled on that. Because the event, obviously that took place is going to happen again. And so there have been correspondence on that matter.
I just want to understand, should it be in the policy or should it be a procedure?
Yeah, and honestly, I think it's more appropriate for a procedure, but we are in conversation on it.
All right, so this is a first reading. As Patrick kind of explained, we won't approve these until we've seen all of them to make sure that they don't contradict each other. But did anybody have any other specific questions on this series?
I have a question on the use of school facilities. What page is that? It's 1330, it's page 29. It's actually about the fees. It's in the fee section. It's got town departments or agencies that they need to pay the associated costs. They don't have to pay a fee for the building, but they have to pay the associated costs. So like if I know, planning and zoning is going to start the plan of conservation and development, which generally they're an example of it. They generally have public hearings and they try to gather groups of people to see things. And they've always done it at the school at night. So does that mean that if they want to do that there, they have to pay for the janitor costs or?
I believe there's language also that says the superintendent can waive such costs.
Just gonna speak to that.
But so I'm just thinking if it's a town entity, if we're giving it to the PTO with no associated costs, why can't we give it to the town?
Yeah, I think it would depend on what the cost is and what the template and most past practice, we have not billed a town entity and the policy does allow the superintendent to waive it. Justin, I know you wanted to add something as well.
Yes, this was put in more as a protection for the school department or the Board of Education on the whole for associated costs. We anticipate that most of the time this will be waived by the superintendent, but suppose you had a town agency that wanted to have a winter ballroom festival gala or something and wanted to have alcohol served on a Saturday night and so forth. There'd be insurance costs and those sorts of things that would be fall on the school department. So those associated costs would be then transferred on to whichever town department wants to use the space.
As long as you can waive it, Patrick, I'm fine with it. And then I had one on page 40. Deadly weapons and film. There's no mention in here relative to tasers. I don't know if a taser is deadly or not. I suppose it depends on how high. And I only bring it up because I know I've been at hearings where we've had the taser situation. I don't know if taser needs to be in there.
Yeah, it might be, but we certainly can look and see if it's anywhere else.
Might be in our general weapons policy, which will come out in the 4000s, the students.
I believe that's where it's currently, because I know it was related to expulsion.
Yeah, I think I recall it being, whatever policy it was mentioned in.
As I just say, I don't know that taser is actually classified as a deadly weapon. For firearms
Or
or
the firearm?
I mean, if it's set for an adult, and it's a child, it's gonna be deadly. I don't know, it crossed my mind when I saw that shotgun. It should be on that.
There's something else you want to say about
Just in terms of the process itself, I just wanted to encourage everyone that, this is a pretty arduous process that we're undertaking, and this is the first reading of the first series that we're bringing forward, and obviously with the 9,000 series, some of the sections forthcoming, quite long, quite detailed. So in that event, should you get the initial packets that Ms. Bernard referenced with the online version, which has the highlighted sections, between when you receive that in first reading tonight, certainly I encourage you to reach out to me directly, and I can work through some of the minor details and make those edits and changes on the fly of the document, the living document, so to speak, will help us streamline this process on the whole.
Anything else on these? All right, our next agenda item for new business for a vote is about policy 3323. Some information like that.
Sure. So I can provide some context. So this came up during the last finance subcommittee meeting regarding that the transportation contract came up. For those who may or may not be aware, currently we are on the last year of I believe what was a 3-year contract with Smith Bus. So it's set to expire. Certainly, we need transportation for our students. Typically, we would go out to bid. This was more to gauge the board's interest to engage Smith to see if there's interest in extending the current contract. Since the pandemic, transportation is very difficult to contract. I don't know how much you pay attention to like surrounding towns, but there's at least 2 surrounding towns that come to mind in which they had no transportation because the drivers went on strike. They had to tell parents. I know that was Daryl could maybe speak to that a little bit. It's his hometown. Speak. Yeah. And so certainly just knowing the difficulty as far as transportation, still being a shortage with drivers, and knowing that our current situation certainly has been better than most to just gauge interest in that. Certainly I'm not asking for permission to execute a full execution of a contract, just to gauge interest and bring information back to the board to extend the current contract. And certainly I haven't had any conversations with Smith, so I'm hoping there's interest on that side, but I'm unsure. So we weren't quite sure if it was necessary to vote to waive to take that step, but certainly wanted to err on the side of caution. And certainly if we're not moving in that direction, then we need to get it up very soon.
So our policy says that every 3 years, we need to go out to bid. Is that?
No, our contract is a 3-year contract that's ended. So we
Okay,
doesn't.
and when the contract ends,
Yep. And
So that
because it's
money-
over a certain amount of money, you would have to go.
typically we go out to.
The policy is near the back of the agenda after the other policy, so it's policy 3323. It is included in the packet.
What page, Kate?
It's page 100, I believe. On the bottom of my-
Okay, bids, yeah.
Where it says business/non-instructional operations purchasing procedures. All right, so did anybody have further questions about that?
I guess I just need clarification because for whatever reason, I'm not really sure what.
Well, and I was just gonna ask, so I know this was discussed at the finance committee briefly, but does the board feel that we need a motion to waive the bid requirement for Patrick to have discussion with Smith to kind of see whether they're, willing to have a new contract with us, or do we want to just
in order to follow the policy, you can't
Reach out.
you can't reach out without avoiding the policy. You can't have some conversations going on over here and no bids going on possibly over here, but they don't have the information they have. But so in order to make it fair, if we are comfortable with Patrick reaching out to Smith because they've been our carrier, we can temporarily waive the policy to allow Patrick to have that conversation.
And then the contract itself would still come before the board. We're not waiving the right to sign the contract.
And that's not something that I'm asking to do.
Right, and that's not something that Patrick's seeking. This is just, if somebody wanted to make a motion to waive this policy, then it doesn't have to go out to bid at this time. He'll have discussions with them. But if he has discussions and comes back to the board and says either they're not interested or it's going to be way too much, then we may still go out to bid at
Right,
that
I
point
mean,
in
the
time.
game
Like
is
it's
10%.
not.
Sure, we'll do it by 10%. I think we would go to.
Why wouldn't we go out to bid in the first place?
Because of some of what he discussed in
Yeah.
terms of feeling like there aren't that many companies available or wanting to at least see where they're at first and then determine whether we would want to go out to bid if the rates aren't what we're.
Because we have a right, when he comes back, if he comes back and says they're gonna be, like he said, 10%, then it's still on us to say, okay, right now we're just waiting for him to actually talk to them. But for him to actually negotiate the contract or come back and say, oh, no, I'm gonna sign it for 10%, we have to approve that.
I understand. I do understand that part of it, but you know, again, when you go out to someone and it would have to be waived. Because if you're going out to someone and saying, would you be willing to do this and what is your cost and we know this, then you are not going out to bid. That is kind of a, you know, it's not a fair practice. So we would have to decide if we would be willing to do that. Going out to bid, Patrick, does it take a whole, you know, I mean, I've gone out to bid for some things, but how long a process does it take? And is that one of your concerns?
I'm not quite, I'm not quite sure how long the bid process would take. I mean, obviously we'd have to put the requirements in. There'd be a timeline to submit.
Right, yeah.
So certainly the timing would not be favorable. I will say that I am aware that one of the other surrounding towns in which Smith Bus works with did exactly what I'm proposing, and from their perspective, it worked out very favorably for them. I mean, the board's not comfortable. What I would be doing is working with Ryan immediately and getting the.
Right. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, I understand it.
I guess I don't see what it would hurt to just open a conversation. If there needs to be more than we just do more, but I wouldn't want to risk another town getting to use them over us because we didn't have an open conversation with them that we were so interested in. Hopefully using them.
So is the conversation to go for another 3 years or just extend for a year?
To extend our contract,
Or
yeah, open the door to see what the interest is on either side.
I can say from a parent's perspective, every bus driver that I've ever dealt with in Smith Bus has been phenomenal. They take care of my kids and I feel comfortable putting my kids on the bus. Having said that, you know, I'm sure that, you know, some other bus companies that's just gonna pick up folks off the street. But, the fact that we didn't have an issue with Smith Bus and that, I mean, I know Justine, who is the manager of the East Windsor, there's ever a problem, she jumped on a bus and she's driving around picking up kids. I think that the customer service that we get from them is fantastic. So I will make a motion to waive this, to allow you to go and talk to them and about extending the contract. So.
Is there a thing here for waiving? Do we have anything in here for our procedures for waiving?
Because it's under new business for a vote, we can waive the policy if the board approves it.
But wouldn't you have to have a waiver in the policy before we do this?
No, it's here, Betsy. It says that there is a the Board of Education may permit the superintendent or his or her designee to waive the bid proposal requirements when the bid process would be against the best interest of the school system.
All right, I just want to make sure it's.
Number 4,
Yeah,
last
okay.
sentence.
I'll second that. Okay, so Fran made the motion. I'm sorry, Courtney. You seconded, Courtney seconded. Okay, is there any further discussion on the motion to waive the policy? 3323? With no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any against? Any abstentions? So Gabby, are you abstaining? Or are you against? Sorry, just
I'm abstaining.
abstaining. All right, so Gabby's abstaining. All right, so the motion passes. All right, next on the agenda is liaison reports. So this is just for Carrie and Gabby, this is where if people attend meetings or go to different things, this is kind of where they report out what's going on with the things that they've been to. Sometimes Fran speaks to Booster Club or pension board or those types of things. So does anybody have any liaison reports this evening? Anybody else? No? All right, and then it's our second public participation. Do you have any public participation this evening? Anyone from the public like to speak? All right, I have a couple miscellaneous. Do you have anything miscellaneous?
5 seconds.
All right, you want to go first?
Sure. It's just a reminder to the board, as far as, the gifts, because you're participating in, as a group, you voted, you said you participated, sorry.
For Parks and Rec, the adopted family?
Yeah, adopt a family. So those are due to town hall the 14th. So certainly if board members want to bring that, to the board meeting on the 13th, Jessica can bring them as a collective group, the next day.
I think Heather was going to speak to that as
Yep.
well.
Okay, perfect.
That's fine. You can finish up.
No, you probably speak to it much better than I can. Thank you.
No, that's okay. Go ahead.
So just to kind of piggyback on what he was saying, I did get from Melissa the two, children that we're gonna be purchasing for. One is a girl and she's 10. And I can forward to you guys the, little things that she had sent me. She wants makeup, Harry Potter, board games. And then the boy is 5 and he like Hot Wheels, basketball, and board games as well. So you guys can, if you want to give money, that's fine. Or if you guys want to actually do the unwrapped toy, I'm fine with that too. And then I will take those at the next meeting. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll shoot an email with this, what I received from Melissa as well.
Just because I was talking about it with a couple of people and we hadn't heard about it, the Arts and Culture Committee is collecting plastic caps, like from water bottles or orange juices or gallons of milk. There's drop boxes at the town hall and at each of the 3 schools. And they're going to make a mural out of them.
Keep your plastic top. I just had one more thing. I did go to the cave thing this weekend. I went Saturday. I'm sure you guys can talk about your Fridays.
Yeah.
Betsy was there with me on Saturday. We went to I went to a really great meeting on AI and how it is going to be in schools, which is a little on the scary side. But when I actually sat there and listened to it, there were some things that came from it that I found intriguing. And obviously, us as a board, we've got some policy to think about and what that looks like for our students and staff and things like that. The other thing, Betsy joined me and we actually went to was Nick Caruso from CAVE, who has come to our board before, talked about board policy goals or board goals, and how to streamline those and structure those with not only the superintendent's goals, but with the whole, all of ours. So streamline those things. And then also there was somebody from Regional District 15, I think.
Yeah.
She was their chair. She had some really great ideas of things with meetings and how to structure them and how they outline all their meetings from the beginning of September through and the different subjects that they have. She said that she found that that was a better way with the community when they'd ask questions. They would say, hey, we've got that meeting coming up on September 15th. You should come to it. It wasn't all just hearing, which I think are great when we hear about the different schools and also Daryl does his thing. There are other things like security and things like that. Just a lot of different ideas that I found intriguing and maybe we can all talk about as a board at some point. Different ideas. Won't we all see? So it's good.
And one of the things that, you know, that I had thought about, and that was as part of this meeting, was actually the fact that if we did have someone coming, is there a reason why we are not recording our meetings so that people can see them on our website?
We do have that capability. It didn't start till this year. So
We could do that.
That we're waiting
Right?
to
Are we thinking about doing that
discuss with
perhaps?
the new board chair.
Okay. Yeah.
So they can be posted.
So I also attended and there were a couple of things that they had very interesting speakers. And a couple of things that I caught that I thought maybe I'll share with the rest of the board. I'll just scan them and send them to everybody. One is a recommended reading list, which is just different kinds of books that maybe somebody might want. One of them, the whole list of them, so it's all different kinds of stuff. One is a code of ethics for board members that I thought was interesting. And the last is a school governance position statement that I had in one of my seminars, and I thought it's just interesting information that I'll just share with everybody.
I think it would be great for all of us to try to make an effort to go next year as a group because I found it was, it would be a good bonding
Yeah.
experience for us. So I would recommend us all probably consider doing that next year.
My understanding is it's always the Friday and the Friday's a real meaningful day. I know you attended Saturday and it was well worth it, but the vast majority of workshops are on Friday. My understanding it's always the Friday and Saturday before Thanksgiving. So it's that's your understanding as well, Daryl, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have something else as well?
I did. I just wanted to say that Vincent had mentioned the NCCC Music Festival in Ellington.
Yes.
And I attended because my son was part of it, as was Mr. Hernandez there. And I have to say, it was a phenomenal experience. Those kids, all of the chorus, 100 kids singing at the same time. The band, Vinny was running around in the back playing all the various percussion instruments. But it was so classy and wonderful. You felt like you were at a bet. It was just the spirit that was given, and those kids only practiced twice. And they put that out, and that our kids were involved in something, and it was so special and so wonderful. I just want to applaud our music department because it was fantastic. Really cool.
Thank you.
I did attend the state tournament for our cross country for our middle school. I have to say, it was they did such a great job trying to make the kids enjoy the cross country this season and bringing it back to our middle school. Did we ever have cross country or it's just been a very long time since we've had?
I believe this is the first time we've ever had it. I mean, my 20 years in district.
Huge participation, which was great. I think they had 40 to 50 kids at the middle school that participated in cross country, like in general. And it's huge for our school. And the teachers were just really positive, and the states at Wickham Park were a really cool experience. I come from my kids are very athletic, but not in a sport like that. So it was really a cool thing to see the kids. And if anyone ever gets a chance to do something like that, it was great to just cheer every single kid on that was there. But it was a really cool thing. And I know the kids are excited that track is going to be offered as well in the spring. And so there seems to be a lot of excitement. It's great.
All right, any other miscellaneous? Mine was actually the same about parsons. All right, there was some correspondence.
It's in the packet. There's any questions?
So there were a couple correspondence in the packet, some thank you letters about the farm to school initiative and an enrollment report. Did anybody have any questions about any of those? No, we've talked before about the farm to school initiative, so that's great that that's continuing. No, that's been a great program. Great. I believe we're all set, so, good motion. Yes. All right, what did we go with there? Nori made the motion, and who's seconding? Heather seconding the motion to adjourn. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, so we're adjourned.